Harrowing Tales, your one-stop horror podcast that covers all things paranormal, spooky, and strange. Delving in the fictional and factual, we're your hosts. I'm Brent, and I'm joined by Cal.
Today we're talking about Miss Unsinkable. If you haven't, have you heard of Miss Unsinkable, Brent?
I've heard of a few, stories of Miss Unsinkable. Some places I think it was the Titanic they were on. Was it the Titanic they were on, and they survived the Titanic? I don't know about the other ones. I'm not entirely sure about the other ones.
Well, don't worry, because we are going to be getting into it. Miss Unsinkable, aka her name is Violet Jessop. She was actually born in Argentina, but her family were Irish immigrants, and then eventually moved to London for her to help pay for things in London. She decided to join White Star Line. White Star Line is a very, very famous line of ships, which...
That's the Titanic, yes. That's the people that made the Titanic, the White Star
That
line.
Is correct.
Right.
That is correct. But there's more. It's not just the... it's famous because of the Titanic, but mostly...
That's the only way I've heard of it.
But because a few of their ships had tragedies. So it's not just the Titanic. They had a bad run from the beginning. So we're going to be talking about 3 ships, and that is the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic, all of which she was on. And yeah, so firstly, the first one, which is the Olympic, I
don't think I've heard of the Olympic.
The Olympic was one of the first, considered unsinkable ships. So the reason that these were so famous is because they built them so strong. I think it had 12 bulkheads, which means that if something collides with it, one bulkhead fills and the others are shut off. So it makes it less likely to sink. All of these ships had this, which a lot of ships did not. This was why it was considered a bit really crazy that it's these ships that had these tragedies. This is one of the first ones that had this structure, which is a lot of ships after that is how they got built. Because it was kind of like a blueprint for a lot of cruise line ships.
A lot of future ships, I see.
Future ships, yeah. Not necessarily the ones that we have now. They are a bit more advanced, but especially
if I saw
in the
that
1900s.
These 3 ships had tragedies, I'd be like, I'm not basing my design on the ships that sunk. That's crazy. I was going to ask you if you didn't mention that they use the same designs later on. Is that just the cause? Is that partial cause to why these ships sunk?
And the thing is that they were more structurally sound, and if they had worse designs, it would have been even more tragic.
Right.
So the first ship did not sink, but there was still a tragedy that happened with the ship. It collided with the HMS Hawke, so another cruise lining ship. This happened in 1911. This is just when she was starting out. This is the first place that she worked. She had an interview to be a stewardess. When she went to the interview, they said that she was too pretty. She went to a lot of different cruise lines. I don't know why people would turn down people because they're pretty, but apparently they wanted, it wasn't what they wanted. Yeah, I don't know why.
It's really weird. Why would you not want some... Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So she apparently, her mother helped her dress up so that she looked less attractive, and she got a job with the with the Olympic. So basically,
Interesting.
what happened? The first disaster, the two ships collided, and because of the structurally sound build that was enforced on the ships, one of the bulkheads filled. It had a giant hole, and I'm meaning like basically took out a whole bulkhead. So it was massive,
Hmm.
and the ship continued to sail. It was fine. But obviously it was still very traumatic, and the HMS Hawk was also in the incident. So she was
How
in
did
the.
the HMS Hawk do?
I have no idea.
Oh.
I yeah, I don't know. I can have a look. Shit. What are you asking? Wait.
Hang on, hang on. Oh
Um,
gosh.
it lost the whole bow, so it headed straight on, and it lost basically the whole front of the ship.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So it sunk.
And
I'm just gonna assume that it sunk then. The like the whole. I don't know. Wait. Did it sink
no,
or was it
not
like?
then.
Oh,
It
oh,
sunk later,
oh.
but
A
yeah, it did
different
not sink then.
accident.
Yeah, a different accident. I
I
think
see.
it's uh, I think it sunk in World War One.
Oh, okay.
Um, oh, it got capsized. That's what happened. Yeah, so it did not sink, but it obviously needed very good repairs.
Hmm.
This is the first thing that happened with Olympic. It it drew Hawk off its course, and the Olympics voyage got delayed. So apparently, the White Star Line was kind of blamed for this. I don't know if it was really. I don't know whose fault it actually was, but they got blamed. So that was the first kind of set of bad news when it comes to the White Star Lines.
Yeah.
And the second ship that she was on, it is famous.
Yeah.
It's
Is
the
it the one I'm
Titanic.
thinking of? Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
Titanic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she was working on the Titanic. She actually really enjoyed working on the Olympic, but I don't know. She got a job offer and ended up going on to the Titanic, which was only a year later after she started working for the Olympic. And yeah, so she was on there. She had a roommate, which apparently was quite funny to her because she remembers, in her book, she says that when the collision happened with the iceberg, apparently the roommate said, "I think something has happened." Like, just that was what she said. Like, it was a very obvious
Oh,
collision.
I
Oh,
think something has happened.
I think something
Oh,
has
oh
happened.
dear. Oh no.
Yeah. And apparently she thought that was
I think
really
something
funny.
has happened, and it's like a massive,
Yeah.
massive jolt. I'm
So,
assuming. Yeah.
I mean, if you've seen the movie, it's kind of like, how everybody's kind of not really sure what's going on. Everyone's like, oh, like, it's not really going to sink. That's what everybody was kind of thinking. And that's the same for her. She didn't really realize what was
I'm
the
not going to
severity.
take the movie by James Cameron starring
Yeah.
Leonardo
Well,
DiCaprio and Kate Winslet
look,
as fact.
I mean, it's not. It's not,
No.
but it's still based off of it. But
Yeah.
basically, you know how everybody's just like kind of chilling at the beginning. not really taking it seriously
Yeah, doesn't
until
one guy like
for
kick
like
a piece of the ice on the deck? He's like, ah, ha,
yeah,
ha.
they like kind of having a laugh.
Yeah,
And she took a while to get on deck. She she was just having a little doozy. She was
yeah.
she was getting annoyed that she had to put a life jacket on because it didn't fit over her coat and hat properly. She she was
Okay.
annoyed basically that they were annoyed that they had to get into a lifeboat. They got
Yeah.
on lifeboat 16, which was what
How
not
many
one of the
lifeboats
first.
were there on Titanic? Actually,
Not
I
enough.
don't. Not enough. Yeah. Okay.
Not enough.
I.
I
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but not enough lifeboats is
Yeah.
is what it yeah. And when she got put into the boat, one of the people that she worked with kind of just handed her a baby. She had no idea whose baby it was. It was not evident. This is when they were kind of
Starting to
just
panic.
they were starting to panic just kind of when she was getting into the boat, and this is just when they were like women and children, because at first they were just like, oh, whoever's there gets into the boat, and they weren't filling up the boats to maximum capacity either. So like this is kind of like the start of where it's like getting, oh, okay, something might be happening here. She gets in the boat, so they were just like, oh, just take care of this baby. We'll just send you out. Like, it's fine. We'll find the mum later. And she's
Yeah.
just like holding this baby in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Like, it's freezing cold, um, with a bunch of women.
Yeah.
She said that she didn't really realize the severity until she was on the boat and they'd paddled away, and she could see that about a third of the boat was underwater, and you
Dang.
can hear like the screaming and and
That's
like
awful.
the lights
Yeah.
the lights going off and things like that. She didn't really realize the severity until they were in like the middle of the ocean.
Hmm.
Um yeah, so they were basically ordered on deck. She was put in a boat and she was yeah, it was very
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I
uh
bet.
yeah,
Dang.
so but yeah, still she survived, which is
Yeah. A second.
crazy. A
It's crazy
second
that
ship.
this a second ship in the same line of ships.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's really weird.
Yeah.
And she's one of the like few that survived Titanic.
Yeah,
Like
so
not that many people
out
out
of
of all the people
yeah,
survived.
so out of 2,224 people, 1,500 died.
Yeah.
So that's 724 people that survived out of 2,224. Obviously, a lot of second class did get trapped underneath as well. But so she was lucky that I guess because she was also a crew member, so she was kind of helping to get other people onto the boat, and being a crew member was able to like calm people down. She got on a boat, um,
Mm.
because obviously a lot of people did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's boat number two, right?
Oh
What do you
no.
think? What do you think she did next? What do you think she did
She
next?
went into the middle of Texas and started a corn farm and lived out the rest of her days far away from the sea.
You know what? I wish. She
Yeah.
she actually spent a few years between the Titanic. She worked for a few other like ships and she did
Okay.
work on land for like a couple of years. I'm talking 4 years, not a long time. And then she was like, "Hey, you know the two boats that I were on that crashed? Why not make it a third?" and she started working on
Do you sound
the
like
Titanic.
you say it like as if she did it all, she made this like happen on purpose.
Well, no,
She's
she
like, you know
didn't.
what? I'm gonna make the third boat sink too. No. She's gone back to another White Star Line ship as well, like the
Yeah,
third ship
same
is another.
company,
That's
same
crazy.
trio of ships. So it's this trio because obviously it's the line which I
Yeah.
think is which I think is HMS. Um yeah, HMS, which is the line. They had a lot of other ships as
Mm-hmm.
well, but the White Star Line was the three luxury ships, which was the new fleet with the big bulkheads. They're trying to break, records for crossing the Atlantic. You know, they're bigger. They're a lot bigger than a lot of other cruise ships, so they're trying to like. I think some of the reason that there might have been issues um, is because they were trying to break records, which is what happened on the Titanic. They were trying to press and they were going too fast in the middle of the night, couldn't spot the iceberg, and
Mm,
they were going at full speed, trying to get across the Atlantic as quick as they could,
mm,
and didn't have enough time to see the iceberg and turn. So these were very good ships. They were big, they were strong, they had
mm-hmm.
bulkheads, they had new designs, but they also had massive tragedies.
Yeah.
So, and what else do you know that happened in 1916?
Stuff.
Just a while. What's a really really big
War.
world war? Yes,
War.
the
What is it
first
good
war.
for? Yeah.
Absolutely nothing is the
Exactly.
answer.
Yeah.
So World War One, right?
Yeah.
And in 1916, the White Star Line, which was the Britannic, was converted into a hospital. She, although she was a stewardess in the beginning, I think
Is it called
she,
the Britannic? Is that its name?
yeah, Britannic.
Okay. That's okay.
Yeah, so this, which was a luxury cruise line as well, designed like the others. They basically just took out some of the first class like floors, turned them into operating rooms, and boom, boom, bang, boom, like you're ready to become a British Red Cross hospital ship. Um, on this ship, apparently she did actually work as a nurse as well as a stewardess, which is kind of cool. So she did kind of like get trained as a nurse. She became more experienced, and
Mm-hmm.
she should, yeah. So she's getting on. There's the captain of the ship was, funnily enough, called Iceberg Charlie. Do you want to
What?
guess? Do you want to guess why it was
No.
called
Why
Iceberg Charlie?
is this captain known for like hitting icebergs often? Just or no, is their family a grower of iceberg lettuce? In
That would be funny, but he was famous for avoiding icebergs, not hitting them, which is
avoiding them.
good.
Okay, that's
Avoiding them,
great. Okay, good.
which is great. Great news for these guys. Um,
Yeah. So
so
you're gonna tell
I'm
me
gonna give
they did
you
hit another
I'm gonna give
iceberg?
you I'm gonna give you a trivia of
Oh dear.
what do you think happened on this ship. So I'll just give you a
Well, I'm
little
assuming it
context.
sunk somehow,
Right.
right?
Um, Not necessarily, but something happened. I'm gonna let you guess. So there's three things that could have happened. The first thing is that Iceberg Charlie hit a iceberg. The second option is that that it hit a German mine, like a mine in the water.
Yep.
And the third is that there was a epidemic on board. So, what do you think out of
Okay.
those three
Hospital
options
ship
happened?
epidemic is like that's a good combo. Like I feel like that's pretty strong. But I also feel like you wouldn't have mentioned Iceberg Charlie if they didn't hit an iceberg. Although it is
Mm-hmm.
an interesting enough name. I'm gonna go with Iceberg Charlie hitting hitting an iceberg.
Uh-uh. On the
Dang.
morning of November 21st, the Britannic sank due to a mysterious explosion. The definitive conclusion was that it was hit by a German mine.
Or a very explosive iceberg.
Yeah, a ice
An
pedo,
iceberg
you could
that
say.
is containing like the ice is like locked in a whole bunch of methane, and so when it hit
Yeah,
the iceberg, it exploded. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So apparently, because she'd been through this twice before, she was kind of just. She was actually felt like she was well prepared for this one.
Oh
She
yeah, third time's the charm. They
third
had
time's a
their to
charm.
go bag already, and
So while this was happening, before the mine actually struck, her friend had food poisoning, and she was helping her with the food poisoning, and she left to go do something else, and that's when they heard a massive explosion, and she was like, "Well, you know what? I think this ship's gonna sink." She went to check on her friend. She already left. She's gone. Um, she
yeah.
she remembers grabbing three things because she remembers from being on the freezing cold lifeboat in on the Titanic that the things that she really wanted, because she was very Catholic.
Uh huh.
So she grabbed a Bible, a clock, and a toothbrush, because she said not just
A
like on
clock.
a
Why
clock,
would
so
you
that she
grab a
could.
clock?
That's what she wanted. She didn't know what time it
Okay.
is. I
Uh,
guess in the daytime it's kind of easy, but well, I mean, you just look at the moon. But she wanted a clock and she wanted a
maybe it's an
toothbrush.
expensive clock. To be fair. Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting. I would not have thought that they'd grab a clock. That's
I would have grabbed like
okay.
water. I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, a
a,
clock.
a clock, a mirror, so that you can. Well, I guess they don't really have helicopters, but you know. I was thinking, oh, a mirror so that you can flag down a helicopter in
Yeah,
the
sure.
1916. That's a great
Yeah,
idea, Cal. Good idea.
yeah. Yeah, 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 of course. Uh,
Well, you know. Um, so
I would feel like grabbing like a mass thing of food, although they probably had someone grab that. Yeah, I'm not going to judge them for grabbing clock. That's fine. It might be the special
I mean,
clock.
it's kind of useful, something
Probably
personal.
clocks are probably really expensive.
Yeah, I guess it could be useful to know what time it is. You know, it could be cloudy.
Mm,
You might not be able to see the sun, know how much time has passed, be able
yeah.
to tell how long it actually took to sink. The tragedy isn't necessarily because the ship sank, which is kind of crazy. Um, so she didn't get on the first lifeboat. There were a few that were already lowered. She got into a lifeboat, and as she was getting lowered, as it was like they had automatic lowerers for the lifeboat, so once it's down, it can't kind of pull it back up. She looked over the side of the lifeboat, and good old iceberg Charlie, Captain Charlie, he thought, "Hey, I'm gonna gun it back to the shore, so I'm gonna speed up this ship."
Okay.
And because he didn't turn the engines off, the lifeboats that were already in the water were getting sucked into the propeller.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Iceberg Charlie, what the heck?
So there was clearly a communication error, and these lifeboats were getting sucked into the propeller and getting chopped up.
That's terrible.
The people as well as the lifeboats.
Oh my gosh.
And she looks over and she sees this. She didn't see it before she was in the lifeboat. She sees this as the lifeboat is getting lowered, and the lifeboat hits the water, and
Yeah.
everybody else jumps out. But guess what? The Miss Unsinkable, Violet Jessop, who has worked on more than three, because she worked on other ones as well, but worked on 3 cruise ships. Guess what she can't do?
Oh my no. No.
Guess what she can't do?
Are you actually kidding me?
She
She
can't
can't
swim.
swim.
She can't swim.
Oh my gosh.
She can't
No.
swim. So she's in this lifeboat getting sucked to where the propeller is. She's the only one still in the lifeboat. Everybody else jumped out, got away, tried to get out of the way, right?
Yeah.
And she continues on this lifeboat towards the propeller.
Oh my gosh. Well, so I would have thought that the water would, if it's, oh no, that makes sense. Could they not, do they not have oars? Could they not have tried to row away from the propellers? I feel like
it was very
if the
fast.
suction was so much, was like into the propellers, I would have thought that, like, even if you were swimming, like the pull would have been.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't think most people got away.
That's terrible.
Even when they jumped out. Obviously some did, but not all. Yeah. So at the very last minute, because she was scared of not being able to swim, she did jump out of the lifeboat at the last second. And she went, so when this is a quote from her. So I leapt into the water, but I was sucked under the ship's keel when I struck my head.
Shit.
I escaped, but years later, when I went to the doctor because I had a lot of headaches, he discovered I had sustained a fracture of the skull.
Shit.
So apparently because she had thick hair, that's what she says, when she hit her head apparently on the propeller or on the ship, she said it was she wasn't close enough to the ship to hit the ship, so that she thinks that she hit the propeller with her head, got sucked under, and was fine.
And still survived.
And
I mean, she got a fractured skull, but like still survived. That is crazy.
She survived that. Yeah. And she said that like when she was in the sea, it was like, and this is what she actually said, it was like human flotsam. The sea was red.
Oh no.
Yeah. So she was.
That's terrible.
Yeah. So she got rescued, jumped in a boat, and the person that she was sitting next to, who apparently was quite cheery, considering that he had his arm like kind of dangling off.
Oh nah.
Yeah.
That's oh my god.
Yeah. So obviously this is very much a tragedy, but in comparison to the Titanic, well, yeah, But comparison to the Titanic, in which the Britannic sunk in 57 minutes, only 30 people were killed. In comparison to like the severity, they kind of they would have had enough lifeboats. They would have learned from their mistakes and gotten people on them very quickly. So even though the ship still sank, a lot of people were saved because of them being quicker about the situation. And so she survived another ship.
My gosh.
So that's 3 White Star Line ships, and she survived.
That's just so. So is she just so lucky to survive all of those, or she's just so unlucky that she was on all these ships that sunk? Like,
I guess it's how you think of it, because you could think, oh, she's a bad omen because out of these 1 near sinking and 2 actual sinkings, she survived all 3. She again had a brief hiatus, and she continued to work for White Star.
Oh my gosh,
for
no.
longer than that. Thankfully, nothing else had happened. She worked on around the world cruises. She enjoyed her life, and she died of old age at 83. A fun thing that apparently had happened, though, is you remember that baby that was on the Titanic?
Oh yeah.
So basically, when they got to the ship that saved them, right? There was a frantic woman that came and grabbed the baby, and she didn't see the baby again. A year before she died, when she was 82, she got a random phone call, and she said, "Do you remember the baby that you held on the Titanic?" And she's like, "Yes, of course I do. I'm that baby." And just hung up.
What?
Yeah. So she said,
Just
"I'm that
hang
baby,"
up.
and hung up. And hung up.
Oh,
And
I
that
thought there was
was
going to be a nice reunion or something.
no reunion. Just like,
She didn't
apparently,
even say thanks. She just said, "I'm the baby," and then hang up.
I'm the baby. And then hung
I'm the
up.
baby.
I'm
Yeah.
the baby. But, like, that's kind of,
I mean,
that's
it's
kind of a
nice
cool
to know
fact.
the baby survived, if that was the baby. This almost sounds like a kind of awful prank call or something. You
Yeah.
know? I don't know. I don't know what the prank is there, but it also feels like really weird. Like, why would you not say thank you or like anything?
I
Like,
mean, she could have said thank you, but that's basically all that conversation was that she got a random call, a very short call, and there wasn't really very
oh,
much
okay.
to it, but she basically called, and then she's like, "Oh, you remember the baby that you saved on the Titanic? That was me." And
Oh,
then
okay.
that's it. Like, she didn't really. So it had actually been. People had looked into it and been like, "Oh, maybe this is a prank, or maybe that was actually something that people said." It's like, "Oh, maybe it actually wasn't her," but she thinks that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she thinks
Yeah.
that it was the baby that she did save. So, it's
Yeah, I'm
unsinkable.
hoping the baby
Yeah.
survived and turned out great and fine. I mean,
Well,
that's
I
an
mean, she
awesome thing
did,
that she did.
and
Yeah,
you know,
even if that wasn't her, the person that or them that rang up, you know.
hmm and she did have she does remember like when she was on the lifeboat that she was kind of prioritizing like trying to keep the baby warm, and
Yeah,
it kind of gave her something to, I guess, do. like someone to take care of and look after, and it gave her a bit of sanctity, I think, that she had a baby with her, like that she was holding the baby that one of the staff members just gave to her, just to try and get it off get the baby off the ship. Yeah, so she continued to sail around the world on cruise ships for quite a long time. And
wow,
she's had quite a life.
She must be like the bravest woman ever, like bravest person. Like to be going through 3 tragedies and like seeing the most brutal thing, getting injured from one of those, like it's like being, if you got like went through tragedies and you're untouched by it, you might think, oh, obviously I'm blessed in this way to survive all these things, but she got hurt, like she got a skull fractured, and she had to go through the physical and mental pain of going through those. Gosh.
Yeah. Apparently, she didn't even realize that she had a fractured skull. She barely even thought that she had a concussion. She thought she just hit her head, and it wasn't really much of a big deal. She didn't. It wasn't until like years later, when she was complaining about having headaches, that she found out that her skull got fractured from that incident. She didn't think it was that big of a deal. And I mean, in comparison to everyone else around her, I feel like you're probably not worrying about the fact that you hit your head when you've got people dying, I guess, beside you or limbless. So I obviously a lot of people were hurt in that incident because of the propeller. But not that many people were actually killed, which I guess is good, but also the fact that Captain Iceberg Charlie, he just kind of, it was the fact that he just thought, I'm just gonna try and get the ship back to shore, but didn't realize that people were in boats, like in lifeboats. Didn't make that decision.
Did he not like give an order to evacuate? Shouldn't he have just like given up and shut off the engines? Like, I feel like once you've chosen to evacuate, you don't keep going. You either evacuate or you think, oh, I'm going to get a little bit closer and then evacuate. Like, I feel like that would be the procedure. Like, why would you keep going? Because also then you're like spreading the boat. Like, if you're keeping going and you've got boats like trailing down the side, they're all getting spread out. Like, wouldn't you want all the survivors to be together as well, so they can be rescued together?
Obviously, technology is a lot more advanced nowadays, especially for airplanes. But if that is to happen, they do have kind of what you would consider a on the radar blip of where it stopped. So they're immediately going to go to their last communication, the last point of communication. So, yeah, you want to stay where the ship is, because a massive ship is going to, even though it's going to take a long time to actually sink, it's going to be underwater very quickly.
Yeah.
It still takes an hour. For the Britannic, it took an hour to go underwater.
Well, I'm assuming there's also going to be like debris and stuff that is traceable. So you want to stick by the debris and the and your fellow survivors as well. So not too happy with Captain Iceberg or whatever his name was.
Yeah, so you can avoid icebergs, but you can't avoid mines.
You can avoid icebergs, but you can't avoid Captain Iceberg.
No, you can't. Yeah. She's clearly an amazing woman. And she was nicknamed Unsinkable because of being on 2 sinking ships. and one near one
It is
near
a
sinking
really
ship.
like amazing story. The chances of all three being on all three. I mean, I guess it's like it's up to her. She made the decision to go back on the same line of ships, but
I guess they
it
don't,
is
need
crazy that they
money.
all yeah. Yeah, but
You know,
there's other lines, and she did take other lines. But going back to the White Star Line, and then the ship that she chose as well is ones that get struck by with tragedy.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, she did also sail on. She continued to sail on White Star and on different cruise lines, and she just keep going. So kudos to her.
Good on her.
What an amazing woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently when she finished her career at sea, she went on to raise chickens
Oh, great.
in the
Brilliant.
countryside. Which, you know
Oh,
what?
good.
What a great ending. And
Yeah.
when she finished her life on the sea in the 1950s, she spent the rest of her life just raising chickens. So
Awesome. Great retirement plan.
I want to raise chickens when I'm getting to the end. That's how I'm gonna go.
Hmm.
Chicken farm.
Right.
Okay.
Fuck.
Okay. Well, so that was Miss Unsinkable, Violet Jessop. If you have any questions or if you have anything else that you would like to add on this amazing woman, please comment or email us at two kiwis and cheese at gmail.com. Thanks for listening. I'm Cal, and
I'm Brent.
thanks for listening. See you next time.
See ya.